Hi everybody. I'm Brad Folk, and I'm here to basically tell you that my podcast that I was planning. I know I'm not sure if I told the YouTube world, but I told a lot of my friends and some close acquaintances that I was going to do a podcast with a friend of mine to talk about good, sometimes really bad movies. But again, live stream is a bitch. And we had to start again. But really, I thought maybe I can just do a last minute one. Yeah, I mean, I'm all by myself now. My friend has signed off of Skype, the friend I was supposed to do the podcast with. So I might as well just start this off. We were supposed to do a show based around really horrible superhero films. Now, I'm basically the reason why we decided to talk about this was as of now, today, on June 14th of 2013, Man of Steel has finally been released in theaters. And I'm expecting it'll probably get around maybe I'm not sure about the actual numbers, but it will be number one at the box office. I mean, it's easy pickings. It'll beat both This Is the End, The Bling Ring, and the current number one spot of The Purge. It's easily going to beat those three other titles. But with what I'm seeing on Rotten Tomatoes, one of my favorite sites to go on, I think maybe like a 57, 58%. But people are saying, the general consensus is, I'm paraphrasing here when I say the general consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is that it's a good movie. Man of Steel is a good movie, but it's not fantastic. Um, it's not like the best movie. Like, it's not on the Dark Knight trilogy. It's not up there, but it's a good movie. It is what it is. Me as myself, I never really liked Superman in a lot of ways. Probably because he was a little too cheesy for me. Very stereotypical. Here I am the superhero. I will save Lois Lane despite the fact that she cannot. She always gets captured, and for some reason, that guy is always. It's like Mario and Princess Peach, where he's always going to rescue her, despite the fact that she is constantly getting into trouble, constantly getting kidnapped. Um, but you guys get what I mean. But I would like to start off this conversation with a spin-off movie of Superman I had no idea existed. A couple of weeks ago, I would say, I was looking through one of my other favorite people to watch on YouTube, Nostalgia Critic, and not Nostalgia Critic. He's a favorite, but I mean Nostalgia Chick reviewed a movie called, I think you all know it, Supergirl. Now, Supergirl was released back, I think, in the 80s, I believe. It was, I think, right after Superman 3, and a lot of people did not like it. Watching it on one of the movie channels, I understand why. Richard Pryor is not funny there. But super after Superman 3, they were having a little, it was so negatively received, and I think Christopher Reeve had said that he was getting kind of tired of the Superman role. He wanted to move on to something else. Gee, I wonder how that went out. And Supergirl was made. It stars Peter O'Toole as Zoltar, Faye Dunaway as the evil witch Selena, and Helen Slater in the starring role of Supergirl. Now, I'm not even sure if Helen Slater had another movie after this. I think she was in Lassie, but I think besides that, she hasn't had that many film roles. It was nominated for 2 Razzie Awards. If you guys don't know what the Razzies are, they basically give out worst achievements, worst picture, worst actor, worst actress. I'm gonna put the website down below, www.razzies.com. You can go there and join. It's pretty much a voting award thing, kind of like we vote for really bad movies to say what is the worst of the worst. Supergirl got nominations for both Worst Actor, going to Peter O'Toole, and Worst Actress, going to Faye Dunaway. But I don't think it actually won any awards. Um, but Here's the thing with Supergirl. I haven't actually seen it. I've seen clips of it here and there on YouTube. I've seen the review by Nostalgia Chick. It's so bad. It's funny. Now, hear me out. Supergirl has no real character. She's kind of one-dimensional, very empty-headed. Uh, the direction of the film is sloppy. The story's not really there. It's kind of confusing. She's supposed to be going after this ball of power. I forget what it's called. But yeah, she enrolls herself in this all-girls school for no apparent reason. Uh, but with with that being said, for the movie, I like to watch it not because it's a good movie. It is funny. It's bad to the. It's so horrible, so horribly acted, so horribly written that it is so funny to watch. I get a kick out of it. Try watching uh that scene with Supergirl where she's I think with these two guys and they want to I think it seems like an attempted rape scene. Yeah, that in a superhero movie. Great. Um she's fighting these guys and she says with no real emotion. I'm gonna try to do my Helen Slater impression. Why are you doing this? And then the guy says, it's just the way we are. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding? I don't see why. I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, I think a lot of characters in this movie are very one dimensional, one note. I mean, there's character types that they just use. They thought that would be great. And of course, I love Faye Dunaway's Selena. She is so funny. You know, no, no. I'm like, are you kidding? Oh my god, I roll on the floor anytime I see that particular scene. But of course, everybody likes to talk about the final battle or lack of battle, as it were. Basically, it could have been a great battle. I think when I watched Nostalgia Chick's review of it, uh, they basically said it could have been a great battle because I think both Superman and Supergirl are vulnerable to magic and kryptonite or whatever. But there's not much to do. We see Faye Dunaway just standing there, where there's a fan. I'm guessing really bad fan effect, blowing her hair in the wind, and Supergirl is slipping onto the floor as it's falling. Supergirl, you can fly! You can fly! It's like she totally spaced out and just totally just did not know that she can fly. She can totally just fly up, throw a punch to Selena, and then it's over. It's done with. But no, apparently we get this really horrible scene. But yeah, I think that's my whole point on Supergirl, being that it's a really terrible. It's terrible, but it's just funny to watch considering how terrible it is. It's very campy, very dumb. Now, another movie that I would like to bring up, and it brings on a lot of hate, Batman and Robin, starring George Clooney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Alicia Silverstone, Uma Thurman, the guy who plays Robin that kind of, kind of escapes me. But I probably because he did the most horrible job. Um, Granted, I love Batman. I love that the. I'm not a big comic reader, but I've watched the original Batman with Michael Keaton, Batman Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer playing Catwoman. I've watched the Dark Knight trilogy. I've watched when I was growing up. I was watching Batman the animated series. You get it. But with Batman and Robin, and even Batman Forever. I think Batman Forever was terribly done, but I do think what's his name, Jim Carrey did an excellent job as the Riddler. I've yet to see how Tommy Lee Jones was. I don't see how they can choose him for Two Face, but okay. Batman and Robin, though, I see why, and I actually understand, and I totally agree. It is so terrible, and There's of course everybody likes to talk about those ridiculous costumes, the nipples, the ass plates, the cock pieces. Yeah, you could tell this was a big advertisement, especially with the Batmobile, the way it was done. It was so cartoony. It looked almost like the Adam West TV show back in the 60s, which I've watched. We all love. We all loved watching it. It doesn't matter what we say about it. We love to make fun of it, but yet we love to watch it. But and I think Batman Forever took a similar route with the Adam West show, where it was very cheesy, over the top, not very dark, even though I think they shot it as dark as possible. And sorry. And with Batman and Robin, I think the acting was so terrible. I mean, George Clooney as Batman, he did the best he could. That guy who plays Robin, again, the name escapes me. I think his name is Jerry something. Um, he is so whiny. The guy who plays Robin, he makes Robin look like a real. I hate to say this, a real puss. He really just is whining. Ow, ow, ow. He doesn't really. There's no real character to him. Alicia Silverstone, I do want to like this character, but again, she just like with Uma Thurman, she has nothing to work with. Like with George Clooney, nothing to work with. I think the script was mainly to blame, along with the direction of the film. I will never forgive this really big mistake of having Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. We did not need a goofy, out of this world Mr. Freeze. We didn't. We didn't. They reduced Bane to a guy who basically is just a henchman to Poison Ivy. I mean, it's hard to do Bane. Even in The Dark Knight Rises, I think the writer struggled with him a little bit. Um, but that's not. It's inexcusable. The Razzies. I think it only won one Razzie Award that was Worst Supporting Actress for Alicia Silverstone. Again, I understand, but she had not much to work with anyway. Batman and Robin. I think, when I think back on it, I think, how in the world does anybody watch this? And also, I've come to learn the only reason why this movie exists, Batman and Robin, was to promote a future toy line, and it has nothing to do with Batman, the original Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever. It has nothing to do with it. It's basically a overflown infomercial input into a movie. It was made to promote the toy line, a Batman toy line or something like that. And really, and I look back on it, I'm like, maybe uh, maybe they should have thought this through. I mean, they really had no idea what they were doing. At least with that one. And of course, we come to the final one, the final movie, the final very bad. I think it's one of the worst films of all time, and this is one of those ones I hate so much. Just thinking about it, it's so bad. Ugh. Holly Berry following up her performance in Monsters Ball, which won her an Oscar. Catwoman. Now, there's a lot of reasons why I hate Catwoman, or Catwoman the movie. I actually was a big fan of the Catwoman character. Like, I loved Michelle Pfeiffer's portrayal in Batman Returns. I think that's like the best performance of Catwoman ever done. It's along with, I mean, I didn't really see that much of the 1960s TV series. I mean, I do like Eartha Kitt as Catwoman. I kind of liked Julie Newmar as Catwoman too. She had a few good lines. And of course, I think a second place runner up would be Anne Hathaway in The Dark Knight Rises. But Catwoman with Holly Berry, really? I mean, there's so much to hate about this movie, and I'll go with the fact that this movie only has Catwoman in name. The only thing it has in common with Catwoman is the title. There's no Gotham City, no Selena Kyle, no anything, not anything DC related. Um, so I'll say this right now. Um, Patience Phillips, which is the Holly Berry character, turns into Catwoman through a rip-off scene uh, from Batman Returns, which is basically what they were doing. It's pretty obvious. But the reason why I really hate this movie is because the way that the director Pitoff, I think that's his name, and the writers of the movie, I think there was like 5 or 6 writers for Catwoman, they really didn't give a crap about Catwoman. They really didn't. They really didn't care about the character from the DC comics or the DC universe or the other or the even the portrayal in Batman Returns. They really just didn't care. They really a lot of people see it this way. I don't. Catwoman, is not just a sexy character, which she's not. She's not just a sexualized sex appeal for the Batman universe. She's not. She's more than that. She's a very complex character. I think if I can sum up her character, it would be this quote. And I think she says it to Batman. My life is just all shades of gray, Batman. That's why you'll never really understand me. And, that's one of my favorite quotes Catwoman has ever done. And I think it was in the comics. It wasn't in any of the media. But how they totally mistreated the character by over sexualizing her to the point where she wasn't really wearing anything. She was basically naked with a leather bra, torn up leather pants, a really ridiculous looking mask. I actually wanted to call her Mouse Woman because that's what she looked like. She looked like a mouse. But another thing is that the story made no sense. Um, Facial cream apparently is poisonous. And Sharon Stone's villain is, again, very pointless. I think Sharon Stone's character, even though Sharon Stone did what she could, like with Alicia Silverstone, Uma Thurman, and George Clooney, they did the best they could with it. And I think Sharon Stone, I can totally see that she's struggling with this character. Even when watching the final film, it looked like she was struggling with it. Because really her motivation, the character's motivations in this movie make absolutely no sense whatsoever. It makes absolutely no sense. And also, I think if there's anything bad I want to say about this movie, if I can go back on it, besides the fact on them totally not giving a shit about Catwoman, the character, is that, I think maybe Holly Berry, you know, I think she's a good actress. I think she's great, but I don't think she was. I mean, I know this role was totally unactable, but still, she didn't make it any better. And I think she only signed on for it because she wanted to get away from the X-Men series. I think she had. I think the first two were done, X-Men 1 and X-Men 2, and she wanted to depart from that. But Catwoman was a bomb for a lot of reasons. Everybody, I think, could tell that it was not the real Catwoman. It made $40 million on a $120 million budget, and and again, it was critically panned. I think it has like a 7 or 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. Um, and of course, I would like to plug this in. The film won 4 Razzie Awards: Worst Director for Pitoff, Worst Screenplay, Worst Actress going to Halle Berry, which she showed up. She was, I think, the first actress of of her caliber to come and actually accept the Worst Actress Razzie, which was cool. I loved that. And and oh, Worst Picture of 2004, basically worst movie of the year. And looking at the other contenders, I would agree. I mean, there's a lot of stinkers in there. Like there's Alexander, Super Baby Geniuses 2, and there was, I think, White Chicks also in there as well. And but I would have to agree, Catwoman was the worst movie of 2004, considering the fact that it was a total shame. A lot of people in the Batman community, including me, try not to talk about it as much because it was a long time ago. It was a very long time ago, and also, we have a better portrayal in The Dark Knight Rises with Anne Hathaway, and of course, we'll always have that portrayal of Catwoman by Michelle Pfeiffer. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope maybe I can do the show again on live stream where we're actually live and I have a guest. I have a guest on, and hopefully you guys will stick around and watch more. Thank you so much.